During his speech, he called on separatist fighters to drop their arms and embrace peace. The question now is, what is going to happen? Is the future brighter after his visit? Because he also went to another extent to say he was going to tar the roads and also construct stadiums in that part of the country. The second topic of today is the appellation Anglophone and Francophones. Is that appellation really good? Can that be cancelled? I am not alone on this platform. I am in the presence of the president of the PA party, Jan Dennis. Jan Dennis, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Madam Anne. But to also use the opportunity to extend my greetings to all my fellow co-panelists, and special greetings also to all the viewers of Camden TV and Cameroonians of good faith.
Thank you very much for honoring our invitation. And then we move over to Full Godfrey from the CPDM party. You're welcome and thanks for coming.
Thank you, Madam. It's a great joy for me to be here this evening again. I think you have been long past this platform.
Yeah.
Today, from coming back, I know it was not easy, but I'm there and we are going to debate. And I think when we are all present, we make the debate to look at it, that's everything is equal. So what we are going to say today is all the things that can help our country to move ahead and ahead.
As you rightly said, everything we're going to say here is going to help our country to move forward. We have Siseko, a young human rights activist and town planning engineer. You're welcome, sir.
Thanks, Anne, for inviting me. It's always a pleasure to take part in debates that have to talk about pertinent issues concerning our supposed beautiful country, Cameroon. I want to extend my regards to the other panelists and special greetings to the mining community and specifically the Kmer members.
Your message have gone through. We move over to Chi Dieudonné from the SDF party. Chi, you're welcome.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening to everybody. I want to greet our televiewers. Special greetings to the National Chairman, His Excellency John Frundi, who has been busy all this while after going to Bamenda in his consistency in searching justice. He is on his way. He is presently in Foman to pay the last homage to the late Sultan Ibrahim Bobo Joya, which I join my voice to that of the National Chairman and the entire SDF to pay homage to wish him a peaceful rest. At this point in time, I remember the great contribution this man gave on the floor of the national dialogue in what I call his dying political declaration, just like that of Senator von Victor Mukete on the floor of Parliament. Senator von Victor Mukete, may his soul rest in peace, noted that the national dialogue, that the decentralization has failed, and that it was time to get to functional unity, and that it was time that we get to a federal system of government. Sultan Ibrahim Bobo Joya continued in the same light when he said, acknowledging the failure of the system that he built, and note must be taken that he was a constituent, he was a member of the constituent that gave birth to the 1996 Constitution. He noticed that he had failed in the words, as I quote him, secessionists are like children who ask more just to be sure that they can have a minimum. Therefore, this government has been unable to give a minimum.
Thank you. Thank you, Chi Dieudonné. We're going to come back. As you rightly heard, we are here with political party members and also social society activists. Before coming to a topic of debate, let's watch this press review done to us by the from you.
And gentlemen, if you are just joining us, this is the Republican debate over Camden's television, and we are on the press review slot. We begin this weekend with Cameroon Tribune, which talks of the African Medicine Agency. It says better regulation is imperative. In Loju, we are told about road projects. The African Development Bank is threatening to cancel the 188 billion francs CFA financing and a new era in the Chamber of Agriculture. The Post-Weekender reveals government is in constant talks with separatists, and launch of the Togo Army movement spotlights Cameroon's unique culture. Diapason says African Nations Cup 2021, over 13 billion francs CFA has been reserved for the organization. We are told in the Guardian Post that at PM's peace rally in Bamenda, dreaded Amba General, 12 fighters publicly surrender, hand over weapons, and Minfi evaluates public finance governance reforms. In addition, the Median says, in the Governors Forum, Cameroon pledges 5 billion francs CFA for stabilization of the Lake Chad Basin. Furthermore, the Horizon says, the Prime Minister, head of government, has urged mothers to convince children to drop arms, and Bambaland Fund urging subjects to be ambassadors of peace. In Quotidien Emergence, the newspaper says the Lake Chad Basin Governors Forum, ways to recover from Boko Haram insurgencies discussed. More so, L'Économie Quotidien talks of the African France Summit. What opportunities for African entrepreneurs? In Flèche d'Afrique, celebration of the International Habitat Day 2021, the Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Celestine Kecha-Coutez, gives a thumb up for the successful organization. Municipal update says Northwest accords kingly reception to John Gute and killing of Father Sop. Military court discharges accused persons. The Sun talks of the government that makes strong case for major national dialogue with startling benefits 2 years after, and Famdongo tax varsity heads to intensify e-learning. The Repair newspaper says African Nations Cup 2021, Paul Biya's little secret to Narcisse Muel Ekombi, sports minister. And lastly, Mutation talks of governance in Institut Pasteur. There is a problem, and the President of the Republic, His Excellency Paul Biya, appoints Midat Kazanji, a French doctor, as the new director. It is with this information of the Institut Pasteur that we call an end for this week's press review. Have a wonderful evening in the company of our exciting programs.
That was a review presented to us by Ruth Fonyong. We now begin with the first topic of discussion today. After the Prime Minister, head of government, Chief Dr. John Gute, visited the northwest region of the country in a bid to implement decisions arrived at during the Grand National Dialogue, the question now is, can we expect a brighter day ahead? Jean Denis, the minister was in Bamenda. Can we say the future will be brighter?
Well, thank you very much for that question. This is an issue that we have been singing the same song for close to 5 years now concerning this Anglophone crisis. Well, the Prime Minister's visit to the Northwest, and he was first of all in the Southwest and now to the Northwest, it's not really something that we could say that to me is a non-event. A non-event. Anyway, I appreciate the fact that a personality of his caliber at least meets his people, which is very, very normal. But if it is in line with an agenda in bringing the solutions that we have all been vying for concerning the crisis in the Northwest and the Southwest, then I think to me it is a non-event and another way that we have been decrying to just waste taxpayers' money for nothing, because it's to me just a waste of taxpayers' money. Okay, well, before this present Prime Minister, we have had so many delegations from Yaoundé that have paid countless visits Can't talk of that of Musonge, Gogomo, this same prime minister when he was just appointed. I mean, even myself, that first visit, I was already having hopes. I said, wow. He came, spoke, and he was even like giving hopes that the head of state is ready to open to whatever that will be presented on the table. No taboo. Later on, we had his Minister of Territorial Administration say something different. And he came back. Since then, he came. We don't even know what he went and what he brought back. We talk about, they said he's going to pay a visit in the Northwest. We don't know if his order says he went there to go and follow up the recommendation of the national dialogue. Others, at the same time, I'm getting on how he's going there for a peace mission to see how he could bring all the stakeholders together. So you see that there's a lot of cacophony on the real agenda of the Prime Minister's visit to the Northwest and the Southwest. Good. What I noticed was on the fact that the same cause keep producing the same effect. That is it. Because at the end, I did not really see who he went there to meet, because the same people that he has been paying that same visit and those results have been coming are the same people that I still see him going there and talking with. So I don't know if there's another magic that we are all expecting, because to the best of my knowledge, I think we all want the crisis to come to an end, because it has really given us a lot of headache. Me, as a president of PAP, we are one of those that are really suffered a lot, because our bastion of support is from those two regions. So I will be one of those that will really want that crisis to come to an end, and have been really working hard to give my own possible, as a party, to give our own possible solutions to see how proposals. But when the crisis started, all attempts that we made as proposals tabled to the government were kept aside. All attempts that some members of the civil society, led by his blessed memory, Emeritus Christian Kanantumi, everything kept aside. All proposals from other political parties who don't share the same idea with the regime, everything kept aside. So they decided to carry out their monologue, implement whatever they call the special status, that even those of us of the PAP, we have never in line accepted that such a way of, nobody might be against such an idea of special status, but in the manner in which it was initiated, it was not something that was consensual. It did not reflect the aspirations of those who are of the opposite camp. I don't hold guns. I don't sponsor people who hold guns, but we identify those. Of course, we also, maybe we are going to discuss on that. Yeah, we saw the hilarious welcome at Matazen that what he received there. We saw how the place was heavily militarized.
Thank you very much.
So I think the images itself, the images themselves from the Prime Minister's visit is already telling the world that it's what we call fail on arrival.
Okay, thank you very much, Fu Godfrey. This is the second time the Prime Minister, Head of Government, Chief Dr. Don Gute, is paying a visit in the Northwest region to make sure that peace returns in that part of the country. Can we say we expect brighter days ahead?
Madam Anne, you know, we all know that peace is a permanent fight, and nobody can claim that he is in peace until he dies. So it is something that we have to be looked at. So long as we are living, we have to fight for peace within us, and before we have to fight for peace for people who are around us. Which simply means the visit of the Prime Minister, we will not just look at the visit, it just counts that he was there for 2 times because before him, I think the person who he replaced have been in Bamenda so many times, which simply means that peace is something that we should run after. Peace should not run after us. And we talk about dialogue, the big dialogue that was organized here, and you see, the visit of the Prime Minister in Northwest and Southwest is still the continuity of that dialogue, which simply means the dialogue have moved from the rooms to the field.
If I understand you very well, it means he's going there for the dialogue and not for the implementation.
When they're talking about implementation, it is not like, I think we are in a democratic country. It is not like he's going there to impose. Maybe because when he's going there, I think there are certain things that he may have. Meanwhile, the population is waiting for others. Because you cannot tell me that when he goes there, because we see the interaction in the Southwest and Northwest with the population. When he is there, at least he has one-to-one with the traditional chief, the authorities, maybe to hear and know from them if what they are doing is good. It is another sort of evaluation. That's where I'm really against what he was saying, that it was a fiasco. Because even a child that you put food for, at certain moment you need to test that food to know if exactly what you are giving the child is good. So what I'm saying is the message of peace, the message of reconciliation, and the fatherly message that the Prime Minister brought in these two regions, I think something is really going to change. You know, we always like to talk. There are some people who say they sat there in Yaoundé and they took their decision. But when you see he takes, that's on his head, the responsibility to go down to the field, no matter how insecurity the place are, is to show the love we have for our brothers who maybe are misunderstanding the way the country is managed. But I think in any life, there must always be something that we can disagree to agree. And I think the visit of the Prime Minister is not the first, it's not the second, and it should not be the last, because I think our government, His Excellency President Paul Biya, always pray for peace. He's a man of peace, and I think Cameroon should be in peace, because when you are living in peace, peace is more than everything.
Okay, thank you very much, Full Godfrey from the CPDM party. The Prime Minister, head of government, Chief Dr. John Guti, was in Bamenda, chief town of the northwest region of Cameroon. Peace is what we are talking about, Siseko. Peace is what we are talking about. Can we say the future we expect brighter future?
Well, Madam, you know that if you have the monkey and the fish, and they are supposed to go in for a contest, and then the monkey decides that the element that they will use for the contest is going to be tree climbing. The fish can only take part in such a competition if the fish is stupid. That is the first thing I want to say. It's left for the elders to interpret what I've said. That's it. If we go by official statements, the main reason for the Prime Minister's going down, as President Jan said, was to evaluate the recommendations of the Measure National Dialogue and the implementation of the field. I will just be practical, at least as a town.
Something worth applauding, because he did not just stay in Yaoundé to take decisions, he decided to go there.
I'm coming. If you want me to answer your comment, one, the Prime Minister does not need to go to Boya or to Bamenda to know whether they are implementing Measure National Dialogue decisions or not. The state has a continuous chain mechanism where at the sub-divisional level, sub-divisional officers. At the divisional level, we have divisional officers. At the regional level, you have governors. These persons give a constant report to state to their boss, who is the Minister of Territorial Administration, who is answerable to the Prime Minister, and they are supposed to give this report constantly. Number two, you have elected officials, beginning with the mayors. The mayors have as technical boss the Ministry of Development and Decentralization. these persons are supposed to also forward reports to this authority in relation to how they are working, their difficulties and challenges and so on. You have the regional council that have been added. You have also the elected officials in terms of parliamentarians and senators. All these persons can be contacted to give reports to know what is happening on the ground. So, if the Prime Minister wanted to know whether the Measure National Dialogue recommendations have been implemented, it did not necessarily need to go down. Not that the going was wrong, but to coin it that he is going to evaluate the Measure National Dialogue is like saying that he does not live in Cameroon. 4. The Prime Minister comes from the Southwest region. He is not just a Prime Minister. He is a traditional ruler with full portfolio. Therefore, he has a relay from his traditional colleagues. All the chiefs of the Southwest, who are in all the villages, either present or absent, can give him information as a colleague. The same thing in the Northwest, you saw how the funds received him, not only as Prime Minister, but also as a traditional ruler. Therefore, the objective, first of all, that was put in public for him to go there is already erroneous, it's already a problem. I will continue practically as I told you. Let's take the recommendations of the Measure National Dialogue, a few of them, because we were part of it. That is why when we are talking with regrets, because we decided to go and take part to see, so that we don't sit and complain that we were not there. If we were there, we would have said this. I will take now practical, as I said. 1. It was agreed that after the Measure National Dialogue, they were going to accelerate decentralization. After that, a document worth 501 articles was published. That is 2 years ago. Do we need 2 years to implement a document that was worked out by experts and big brains for it to go operational? I would say no. That document is not operational by 10%. Number 2, in that document, it is stated there that at least 15% of the budget will be given to local governments to help them to carry out their function. The first year that document was adopted, it is 8% that was given to them. The 8% already fails what was agreed in that document. Number 3, the special status that was accorded, that it was going to help to moderate the situation and give us recognize the specificities of the North and Southwest region. That aspect of special status has at least, I repeat, at least 15, as they call it, degrees of application. They need 15 degrees of application that have not yet been put into place for the special status to go operational. One of them is how the educational sector is going to be independent. The other one is how the judiciary is going to be independent. The next one is how the chiefs are going to function. I mean degrees of application. There are at least 15 that are still to be conceived for the special status to go operational. I will go again to add another element of that. It was also agreed there that from the recommendation from the Measure National Dialogue, reconstruction was going to take place in the 2 regions, after which a budget was arrived at, which is about 89 billion francs CFA. As we speak here, seated, the government had only succeeded to raise 10 billion francs. Out of the 10 billion francs, 3 billion has already been used. And the coordinator of that project, when he was asked in Douala by the industrialist in the industrial association in Cameroon, he said that that is not the time to explain how that money has been used. It will come later on. You and I, because you come from the Northwest, if not mistaken, we know that there has been no new construction of any building or of anything from the committee or from that organization. I will go again practical. It was said that the TDR centers will be put into place. Those who have picked up arms will drop their weapons and so on and so forth. You agree with me that after that the committee was up, there are people who have been appointed, national coordinator, the deputy, the regional coordinators and so on. Tell me how many people are dropping their weapons in those 2 places ever since that aspect took place. That was a recommendation of the Measure National Dialogue. I will move further again to add concerning the Measure National Dialogue. It was agreed that to make the Southwest and Northwest specific, there will be a local public service. in local public service so that it can make the regions to be more effective in terms of administrative autonomy and financial autonomy. As I speak to you now, the financial autonomy, the budget that the councils are using in the regions, was not voted by the regions. It was conceived in Yaoundé to the tune of 3 billion francs each, and then it was sent to them, and then they adopted it. That money, as we speak here, is not yet at their disposal because it came at the middle of the financial year when the budget of Cameroon was already conceived. That is why the regions are not functional. And I will end up, because as I told you, I don't speak in the air, I speak concrete things. It comes to administrative autonomy. You will remember that recently the 10 regional presidents came to Yaoundé to receive cards from their Ministry of Technical Supervision. Madam, when they say you are administratively and financially autonomous, it means that if you want something, you ask for it, they give you the money, and you do it. Those cards were given to them by the Minister of Decentralization and Local Development. If these 10 regional people were given the money, the presidents, if at all they are, and they were to buy the cars in their localities, it will help to boost one business person who sells cars. And then those regions will be the one to collect the taxes from that businessman who sells cars. So I will end there for now.
Thank you very much.
To be more pragmatic as the debate is supposed to be.
Thank you very much, Siseko Eyong. Chief Diodone, the Prime Minister carries along with him a message of peace and reconciliation. Can we hope for a brighter future?
Well, before it is the hope of everybody that we have a brighter future. Peace is what we all need. And it is important to note that before you have peace, you need to have justice. Because when you have justice, peace naturally comes. So when you are preaching peace without justice, you are not serious. But before I get there, I want to note a series of historical frustrations. Because when you saw the Prime Minister immediately arrived Bamenda during the press briefing, it was a press briefing of frustration. And his case is not isolated. Then John Foncha, former Prime Minister of Southern Cameroon, had similar frustration when he said in his resignation letter of the 9th of June 1990 that he was being taken just for window dressing. That just for him to have audience, it was not possible. That his people were being badly treated, and all efforts made by him to make sure that something is done, nothing was happening. In fact, his letter is so frustrating. He said that the provision of the Constitution that was meant to protect the people of Northwest and Southwest, Southern Cameroon, has been violated. The Constitution is constantly manipulated, and he has nothing to say about it. Ahijo, who participated in the violation of that Constitution in 1972, ended up also in frustration with the very monster that he participated in building, because the resignation, the departure of Ahijo from power and the events after demonstrate that it was all frustration. And as we talk today, he's not yet in the country. His dead remains are not yet in the country. It left and went further to late Senator from Victor Mukete, may his soul rest in peace. And when he said on the floor of national dialogue, like I said, that the decentralization that he participated in building has failed. It is time to get to functional unity. When he said unity should be functional, it's very important. And he said that we need to get to a federal system of governance. That was Senator from Victor Mukete, 100 years old, who was talking. He was making his dying political declarations. It went over to late Sultan Ibrahim Bomonjoya, who is being sent to join his ancestors today. Sultan Ibrahim Bomonjoya, on the floor of the national dialogue, said that secessionists are like children who ask more just to be sure that they can have a minimum. But after noting the failure of this government that could not give a minimum, he went ahead and said that as a member of the constituent of the Constitution of 1996, it is time that they look into different forms of decentralization. He mentioned the Swiss model, he mentioned the American model, he mentioned the Canadian model. Unfortunately, he was not listened to. So he took his exit frustrated with the very system which he is, a very solid pillar in building that system. And then came Prime Minister, His Excellency John Guti, who finds himself squarely in the shoes of late John Foncha when he sits in Bamenda and tells you that it is time. It is time. We need territory. We need sovereignty. We need dignity. Foncha declared long ago that he was window dressing. That nobody cared about him, just like the Prime Minister is saying. Probably, maybe he is saying so many things within government ranks and nobody is listening to him. He said it is now time to restore that dignity, and he said that it was the head of state who sent him with that message. I want to believe that the head of state who sent him with that message is listening. That his Prime Minister is saying that he doesn't have dignity. That his Prime Minister is saying that the real problem of the so-called Anglophone people, those of Southern Cameroon, which to an extent is even shared by those of East Cameroon. But anyway, since they are Southern Cameroonians that are crying, let us talk about them. Their real problem is that they want to be free. They want a system of governance that is transparent, that permits them to manage their own activities, that does not have this kind of embezzlement that we have in this country, that makes local development a reality. You know about the projects in former Southern Cameroon that have not been executed. You know how the centralized system of government is functioning, and up to today, it is choking people up. That is why, even at the level of the CPDM, they have resorted to blocking roads. And when they block roads, you discover that hundreds of millions are mobilized in just a few seconds to give them light. Because the very CPDM people are getting frustrated, and you know it is end time for the CPDM party. The very CPDM people are getting frustrated by the very party they have been building. So, if we have to hope for peace, we have to address these frustrations. And there is something very important about John Foncha, which I want to note. This man made a lot of concessions. He said it that when we reunited with East Cameroon, there was what he called terrorism, probably the UPC movements and all that. He had to go around to appease people because he had that spirit of dialogue, which has been replaced today by the gun. There is no more permanent dialogue again, sincere dialogue. He went around to reconcile the people. When it came time that he could say he wants to be president, he said no. From the way I'm seeing things, if I say I want to be president today, there will be unnecessary bloodshed. He said, okay, President Ahijo, continue. But let us make sure that we take our people. And then came my national chairman, Nito Trundi. When he won the elections of 1992, it was that he needed to go to war. He said, no, but I cannot kill the very people I have to govern. These are people that have made concessions. He retired and said, okay, even if I do not come to power, can we as a people sit down and think about what our people need? And even up till today, it is for that same reason that at his age, he still finds himself in Bamenda, preaching the message not of peace, but of justice. Because when justice comes to be, peace will naturally follow. And I end here by saying that to address these frustrations, even the Constitution of 1996 has already started addressing it. We are in a de facto federal system already. We just need to make sure that it is effective. Section 62 of the Constitution, which talks about special status, as it has been activated, federalism has been activated. Because a federal system of government, just like the SDF proposed for the special status that they were talking about, the SDF proposed the Kmer model, a federal system of government is a system of government that recognizes, acknowledges specificities, and makes sure that those specificities are carefully taken care of, but that national unity is still conserved. We are therefore already in a federal system of government. So, as Prime Minister John Guti said, the Constitution is not written on marble. It is time for him to come back because it was everything else but an evaluation. The Prime Minister went there for consultations. That is what I can say. It was everything else but an evaluation. Now that he has gone down for consultations, let him come back to Yaoundé And if it means that he also gives his own declaration like Sultan Ibrahim Bomonju, let him wash his hands and leave. Let him come back to Yaoundé and tell the people that you modified this constitution several times to take care of the interest of a few people. You killed people in 2008 to modify this constitution to permit Mr. Biya to be president for life. Today it is about the people. It is about the well-being of the people. Now we need to modify this constitution and make sure that federalism is effective so that people can take care of themselves.
Thank you.
So that people, these frustrations will disappear. And when
come back to that. Thank you very much, Chi. Before we get to you, Prezi, before I come back to you, let's listen. Let's move over to the Northwest region with this report done to us by Bertrand Tita with the assistance of our Northwest regional correspondent, Neba Jerome. Let's watch.
After a brave stop in Bafoussam West region of the country, welcomed by the West Regional Governor, Awafonka Augustin, a phantom crowd gathered at Matazim, gateway to the Northwest region, to give a heroic welcome to the Prime Minister, Head of Government, Chief Dr. Joseph Dion Goti. Braving all odds despite separatist threats and ghost towns instituted by the separatists, the population of the Northwest region came out with the green, red and yellow flag in hand, a sign that Cameroon is one and indivisible. From Matazim, the next stop was at the governor's office at Up Station, where the Prime Minister, speaking to the population in the pidgin language, reiterated the government's commitment to bring peace and unity.
I feel extremely happy for this wonderful reception where we come from Yaoundé today we get, and I want to thank Una plenty. Clap for ourselves for this. Come here sent by our father, President Paul Biya. He sent me here 2 years ago. We began consult, we began talk, say, he will organize big meeting where he will look after the problems when they came from Northwest and South.
The Prime Minister's visit to the Northwest region is to evaluate the implementation of recommendations made during the major national dialogue 2 years after. He will, during the 4-day visit, hold meetings with political leaders, traditional rulers, journalists, civil society organizations in the Northwest region.
The problems where lawyers they be put up, the problems where teachers they be put up, the problems where politicians they be put up, all those problems, they don't dissect one after another and they don't find solutions. A bit true say those solutions don't be everybody, you know, say the day. Now the thing is send me here for can't explain. Say those problems, they don't be resolved. Because of that, we don't get need for stay for bush again the fight. We don't get need for say with the bury we begin them again when they die for bush. We don't get need so with the bury with military brothers and sisters when they come here for protect we don't get need for make life extremely difficult for ourselves. Maybe so.
A region highly affected by the socio-political upheavals since the Anglophone crisis escalated into an armed conflict, the Prime Minister is determined to conjugate the same verb as he did last month in the Southwest region.
This way, come. Ils sont loin dans les collines. Ne vous inquiétez pas.
Avancez.
If If you are just tuning in, this is the Republican debate on Camdis television. As you just watched that report done to us by Bertrand Tita, the Prime Minister, Head of Government, Chief Dr. John Gute, on special mission or instructions from His Excellency President Paul Biya, was in Bamenda to implement decisions of the Grand National Dialogue. During his speech, he called on separatist fighters to drop their arms and embrace peace, and also promised to tar the roads and construct stadiums in that part of the country. I want to find out from you, Jean Denis. The Prime Minister says that there's so much to be done in that part of the country. Looking at the images, do you think this construction, road construction or dropping of weapons, is it possible that it's going to happen in the nearest future?
I think I just want to say something here before going to what you just asked. The Prime Minister visited the Northwest. If I want to elaborate on what Mr. Fu Godfrey of the CPDM said, if you look at it keenly, you realize that even the so-called people that he went to meet, to consult, somebody just talk of consultation, I think 90% of them don't even live there. They are already out. They are out of the region.
Those
because of insecurity. Yes, those who receive him. Majority of those so-called traditional rulers and regional councillors and all those. I said 90% of them, they don't live. Yeah. They already that is, imagine you accompany somebody for an evaluation, the person is making consultation.
Do you have proof for
that? No, of course, no. That's clear. Majority of them don't live in the Northwest and in the South. Most of them are relocated to the safer zones, either in the West or in the center and littoral that we all know. I said majority. If the few who live there, most of them live in the safe zones, maybe in around the upstation where the military barracks are. Majority. I don't want to talk about those who are from the hinterlands, the suburbs, who are not in the central Bamenda town. So there is already a contradiction and a cacophony somewhere where you go to meet people to consult, and you want to see the consultations that will go alongside evaluation, and the people that you are consulting, that you believe that they are the ones to give you results, are themselves not even living in that area. So who are you consulting? That's the first aspect. Secondly, what I noticed, if I want to follow, I think Tseseko Eyongta and Chido Juni almost say one and the same thing. You see, what I took from their analysis is that there is no will. What we are doing is just video. They are just called winding time. Chijo made of an analysis of the frustrations of the previous prime ministers and other related stakeholders in the country that are some of them are even close aides to President Paul Biya. And from what he analyzed, proves that Mr. Biya doesn't even have the will. I mean, the will is not even there. Even the so-called special status that he says to him, it is a solution. Of course, that is no solution to the Anglophone problem. If he did not have the will, no, there is no will. There is no will. Let me say something. Let me say something. Of course, you have seen that many prime visits that have been effected in line to that. The young Philemon, countless times has he been down, and he come back nothing. Musonge, Gogomo, and all like. So what I'm trying to say is that the Anglophone problem came up, and the 1996 Constitution was implemented, or let me say was drafted in line to solve this Anglophone problem. So it's not something of today. Let's not be looking on 2017 or like it all from 1961, 1972. So the Anglophone problem, that 1996 Constitution was to solve this problem. Because we have the AAC 1, AAC 2, all the like, that even led to the birth of the SCNC and all the like. So the Anglophone problem. So mind that in that 1996 Constitution, to tell that people don't even have the good faith to solve a problem, and he mentioned that special station, all the like, there were some modifications that will give some specificities to resolve the Anglophone problem, of which their rights were taken and in the 1972 so-called referendum. How many years later? That's it. How many years? I think 96 to 2020. Because that's where they start thinking it should be about 25 years, if I'm not mistaken. Meaning that 25 years later, people are not even willing to even resolve an issue that by then it was like an emergency. Since there were no guns. No, I'm telling you, since there were no guns by then, They say, let's just do it. We'll just be winding up time. Let's just deceive them. Okay, now, guns came in. It came now like an emergency. There was a dialogue or a monologue or whatever, dialogue, we can call it, whatever we call it. Emergency came in. You see that they are not, Seko just made something. It was not even taken like an emergency. 2 years after, we are still dragging, we are still talking of recommendations, we are still talking of how it can be implemented, we are still talking on how issues can be done. I am telling you that there is no good faith from the government to resolve even their so-called solution that they have proposed. Because if you look at it systematically, there is no will, They are only like under pressure when the international community wants to say something, they just, okay, let us try to make a move. Let's try to make a move. What is so difficult? I create a ceasefire. What is difficult for this government? Ceasefire. We are Cameroonians, and let's talk. I'm happy with the decision of the Tigray rebels in Ethiopia. They all had something similar. And the Prime Minister of Ethiopia tried to use the same method, and later on realized that no, it's not working. He created a ceasefire and opened up for dialogue.
From the Prime Minister's tarring of the roads or construction of stadiums is going to delay because of the separatist fighting.
But who are those delaying? And that is why we are on this platform trying to create a lasting solution where things will go the normal way. You can't just come and you want to cut a tree, start from the branches. That is what we are all saying. Because you say you want peace to reign. Who is blocking the peace? The separatists, you know what they are up to. Of course, they say they are for secession and all the like. Okay, good. We all understand that Cameroon is not only the first country that is faced with secessionist tendencies. We have so many countries that, but the approach is what matters. The approach is what matters. The approach is dialogue, meaning that the government identify those who they can discuss with. But they keep on winding up time, going there, discussing what at the end of the day. That's why I said he consulted those he traveled with, and they are coming back. Okay, they have all come back now. Let's see how it goes. Matters we saw the support. Who will go and those guys, because if you watch on the social media the type of weapons that those guys are having in Dob, Kumbo and all the like.
So we cannot hope for it.
So that's why they cannot be better this when the right steps are not taken. We have proposed that create a ceasefire first. Okay, if at least let the government take some measures that even myself, if I see the good faith that they want to solve this problem, I will be the number one person to start hitting.
Not having good faith.
I'll be the number one person to start hitting against the separatists. I said no, at least all what we have been clamoring for, the government are taking that measures. I think it's high time that you separatists also, you need to do. You don't ask people to drop their weapons, of which you want first of all make them to your weapons.
Thank you very much,
so that's what I'm trying to say, is that we need concrete measures to end this crisis, not to...
the Prime Minister says they are going to tar the roads, that the separatist fighters to drop their arms and embrace...
So stories for how many years now that we are hearing?
Do you think that is very possible? Because watching the video, he was almost attacked when he was struggling to address the population. They started shooting from a distance. Do you think this can be accomplished with the situation that we are living right now?
Madam Aunt, you know, they always say a child that is crying for hunger will make the parents not to sleep, and he himself will not sleep. I think if the people that they call separatists were truly identified, they know where they are.
They don't know where they are.
I'm very sure that we will not be saying this. You know the kind of war that is going on in the Northwest. People who come out from the population, attack and disappear. That's where, so you can understand the statement of the Prime Minister. That's the state, the government have the will, that the will to implement, to see the population enjoy their peace.
But it seems as if peace it's not really the best atmosphere out there, because we are seeing the military there and the population seem not to be very comfortable.
Even when the Prime Minister was there, there were still some attacks in Banso.
Come back, John Dennis, yes.
There is attacks in Dop and Banso.
Yes,
why was he there pretty?
You have the floor. Yes. Who are those people and where are they? Because when they organized the
So you don't know Choayaba?
We'll come back to you.
You don't know Ebenezer Akwanga?
Please, he has the floor.
Sako, you don't know?
Let him talk, please.
Okay.
Please, let him talk. Please. Go ahead, full Godfrey. We are listening to you.
No, they say they don't know the people. I'm trying to call the names of those they can know.
Go ahead.
I'm helping him now to know them.
And I think everybody was to attend. And even at the end of the dialogue, they said it was not a closed dialogue. The dialogue was open. And as I said here, when the Prime Minister is going to the Northwest to evaluate, the evaluation simply means he has to take from the population if they are with what they want to implement. But now, the implementation of what have been taken like resolutions becomes difficult. People will appear and attack. Let me tell you that the first enterprise that was to build this route, Bamenda, the machines were burned. And the question, who are those doing those things? But the people who are coming out, and because I don't know a thick forest in the Northwest and Southwest where people can easily hide and be coming out to do.
It means they are in their houses, just allow.
Means the people are there. Maybe some of us, when we come here and we are talking, we may know where they are. When they talk about the ceasefire, I simply see the ceasefire, it simply means let the armies, our militaries drop their guns. How can it happen? Because if I know that
it's a ceasefire synonym to dropping guns.
Excuse me. So according to you, military intervention is going to lead
to ceasefire. It simply means nobody should shoot again. Nobody should attack. Who is attacking who?
Both parties.
Because, no.
Can we say both parties?
No, both parties. I think we have a regular security there that is directed by our professional armed forces.
So if they come across a separatist fighter, they won't shoot him down.
When they say,
okay, it's all right.
A ceasing of fire, there are people who are coming out. I don't know where they are coming out, and they attack the population. Most of us, when we come and we talk here very freely, we cannot go to our route. A ghost that should move from here to Bamenda, not only the route is bad, but at the end, they have to pay ransom. That's how you see they are kidnapping.
So,
asking for
ransom.
So, government have the will to make these two regions be paradigm.
So he made mention of the construction of the Bamenda Babaju stretch of roads, and then the construction of stadiums, and he has called on the separatist fighters to drop their weapons and embrace them. Do you think it's going to be possible?
That is a message that these people were to receive. When you ask something and they are struggling to give you, receive what was asked. Maybe by so doing, another one will come. If it happens that with all those proposals that have been made by the Prime Minister, and they continue, because even the moment he was there, gunshots were going on, and nobody can say who is there doing that. I know that to get an arm is something that is illegal, and our laws ban those things. So I think even us, when we have the floor to make our speeches in the forums like this, we should not like just train fire, or we should not be like condemning the official, because I heard of my brother Siko, who was saying that the Prime Minister, there was not a need for him to be going to get those two regions. When your child is crying, there is a difference for you, the father, to go and calm down that child, and to ask your house help or your houseboy to go and do that. When you, the father, is doing it, is symbolic and is so significant. So if the Prime Minister is going there, is the whole republic going to the Northwest and Southwest? And the population there should understand that there is something. they have heard their cry, and something is going to be done. I don't think that those who, if you go to all the agencies that are going to Bamenda, you see that there are people who are moving to those two regions. But the state of the road, if they could join hands together with the proposal made by the head of government, so that we can see all these propositions that have been made for this region be implemented. You see, we talk about during the big dialogue, we talk about the special status.
Yeah.
When you talk about the special, when you look at the content of that special status, you will discover that these two regions are going to be very special. The system of education, they have to participate. They have to participate in the development of their region. Just to say that even if the Prime Minister was giving some proposals or making another proposals there, it was just to add to what is already there. And I'm calling for the population and these people who are trying to create a panic in this region, at least to drop their arms and see their mothers and fathers, brothers who are suffering, who have left the place and they are living today in the bushes, and some of them are even we don't even know where they are living. There are people who are dying, so they should see.
Thank you.
And come move together with the government so that tomorrow will be better for our children, for the whole nation.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Asiseko Eyong. The Prime Minister says the government is ready to tar the road. Looking at the high rate of insecurity in that part of the country, do you think this is going to be very possible?
Thank you very much for that question. As I told you, I'm here to give my technical and academic opinion, civil society position concerning the issue. I will begin with a few proverbs because I'm the traditionalist and the title holder in the nation. We speak in that manner so that those who are initiated, those who are with the ancestors, those who have wisdom, may have a little grip of what we do and go to the spiritual to come back and be pragmatic. One, I have constantly repeated that you cannot replace what is not working with what will not work. I repeat, you cannot replace what is not working with what will not work, because you have already failed before anything is being done. Number two, I have constantly told people, and I will repeat it again today, that we have a father that incriminates Cameroon, because Cameroon is a democratic country where to be at the helm of the country, you are elected. Cameroonians elected one person at national level. That person is the head of state. I'm happy Mr. Godfrey said, when you are crying and your father comes to talk to you, you feel very fulfilled. I want to ask him if the father of Cameroon is Prime Minister John Gute appointed, or it is President Pobia elected, because Prime Minister John Gute has no constitutional responsibility. President Pobia was voted and he took an oath of office to safeguard Cameroonians. Why can't he openly say here that let the president go and talk to his children? You voted me. Prime Minister John Gute cannot tell people that you appointed me. He can only tell them, I am your son, I am your father, I am your elder brother, I am your uncle, I have come to talk to you. The president will say you voted me, except he has forgotten. The president was voted in the north and southwest by 80-something% from their statistics that they gave, which means that those people voted the president. So that is their father that they voted to protect them. I will leave that. Number three, madam, if you have a big room like this studio, and you decide that you want to convert this studio to a modern house, and this studio is built with carabot, is built with wood or plywood, if you choose to come and break this room into 2 rooms and a parlor, 10 rooms and a parlor, 4 rooms and a parlor, or a room and a parlor, you have not transformed that room into a modern house. It remains a carabot house. and you might have made a bad situation worse, because the airiness that was enjoyed, the ventilation that was enjoyed in that big room would automatically reduce, and it becomes a problem of comfort. As I told you, I am not going to interpret what I'm saying. Those who are listening to me know what I'm talking about. Now, let me come back to
we are working on time.
As I told you, I am not here to talk about things that are not real. He said the things that are found in the decentralization code are very good and they are pragmatic. That is not the debate. What we are asking him and his party to do is to implement them with a needed effect. As was
let him talk. Let him finish talking.
Let him talk. I'll give him the time. Say what you want to say. But don't take more about
No, you yourself, you know.
Then leave it. I thought you wanted to say something.
No, let him finish. He already spoke. You have the floor. You are the one talking here.
Just as I told you, we are not here to do theories. We are here to be practical. As I told you, I'm a town planner regional expert in technology.
Yeah.
And he
answer the question.
That law.
Yeah.
If I ask him one article on that law, he will not quote.
Go straight to the question.
I'm not joking.
Yeah, go
For
straight
example,
to the question.
he said the educational system will be what the Anglo-Saxons want. I want to inform him, I'm not asking him, that that law cannot be pragmatic, because there is a law of application that has to be developed, that has to specify how that education system is supposed to be implemented for that to go operational. Number two, the judicial system that they have said, that if you read that article, it states that additional laws are going to be conceived in order to specify how those elements will be pragmatic. That is why I said here that I don't want to belabor people with the expertise, but that is what that law states. Number three, when you say that you have you want to decentralize or you want to send the government to the people, it begins from the top. For example, Mr. Chi mentioned a few things about federalism. In the pragmatic federalism, like what obtains in the world as a system of government, when you have a president, the immediate replacement is a vice president, constitutionally recognized and elected, in the way that if the president is not there, it is the vice president who automatically becomes the president. Like it happened in Nigeria when President Yaradua of blessed memory passed on. The vice president, Goodluck Jonathan, became the president. If you see the case in the USA where President Donald Trump lost the elections and he was trying to do resistance, his vice president, who has presidential prerogative, who was elected alongside him, because it is automatic in the federal system, came out and said they are not ready for any fight. They go with the decision of the Electoral Commission and they backed out. I'll continue again. In a federal system, when you want to divide the country into states, because they are called states that are under a federal system, federated states, you don't have appointed governors. The governors are elected and they are called state governors. And these state governors have powers to do appointments, no matter the level of appointment within their state. Number two, the state is managed by an assembly. The assembly conceives, deliberate, and vote laws that are applicable in that region only, not for the national, because there's a national parliament and a senate where applicable. That region votes, conceives, vote laws that are pragmatic, that are specific, that are contextual and applicable to that region. To go again forward, when you have the local governments now, which are the councils equivalent in Cameroon, you don't have subdivisional officers and divisional officers. You have local government chairmen, which in the Cameroon context could be equated to mayors. These persons take part of, they are the ones that do governance and so on and so forth. Let me end there.
Due to time.
I get you. We
are working on time.
I don't go on platform to tackle political issues or partisan issues. I come to educate people on why we are insisting on federalism.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now you ask me the question about militarization and so on and so forth. Madam, when you have a problem with someone, there are two things you can do if one of the parties chooses to be humble. What he does is to go to the other person, whether he was at fault or at not fault, and say, what is your problem? And when the person says, these are my problem, he says, no, I cannot give you what you are asking for, I can give you this. It would be bad for the person not to accept that offer.
So there is no hope for brighter days ahead.
Yeah, I want to ask, just build up with that. Now, when you choose that you can only crush that person to accept your option, you give room for counter force and for violence. That is why the problem in the field now, what Prime Minister John Bute went to do, holds perfectly with the first issue that was plaguing this two regions, that was the political problem. Now a more complicated issue has been added there, which is the military aspect on both sides. I can tell you that any sort of contradiction, quote me anywhere, that until that element is resolved, there will never be peace in those two regions. There will never be implementation of policies in those regions. That road that they are saying that will be tarred will not go operational at Ontario, except they use extraordinary forces and certain negotiation aspects that we have kept preaching. And to add again to that, madam, we have said it. All right, let me just conclude by saying that we have said it time and again. No military has ever won a war against an armed group.
So we still have a long way to go.
Yes, and so we are advising that the ceasefire option, or whichever term they want to give, is the option. Not drop your weapons. The drop your weapons element, I want to remind him, falls in line with what we said. Don't replace what is not working with what will not work. We have heard that drama for the past 4 years.
Thank you very much.
For you to be preaching here,
thank you very much.
Encouraging the
over to Chi Diodone, it looks like we still have a long way to go due to the high rate of insecurity in that part of the country. We still have a long way to go with the tiring of roads, like mentioned, full Godfrey, the burning of the engines that were being put in place to tar the roads. What do you think about that?
Well, before I come to that, there is one of the cosmetic solutions that has not yet been applied. The creation of the law school. The so-called lawyers and the lawyers that came up, they don't yet have the law school, and I want to use this opportunity to talk to the Minister of Justice to make sure that they create that law school. Except they want the lawyers,
surely working on that.
Except they want the lawyers to come to the street again. The bar exam has not been launched for so many years now. They want those that want to get into the bar to go to the streets, probably because they don't like so many lawyers in society, because so many lawyers will always hang at the neck of corrupt governments in court. So that said, Mr. Minister of Justice, take your responsibility and see to it that the bar is launched as a matter of emergency. That said, talking about a long way to go, I want to tell you, I don't know whether I should be saying this again. The CPDM government can only have as synonym a failure. They foresee nothing, they plan for nothing, apart from planning to be in power for its own sake. So, there are so many questions that come to mind. Did they have to wait since 1996 for people to pick up guns for them to come and vote a decentralization code? I'm not even interested to go start looking into the thing again. You had to wait from 1996 till people pick up guns. You have to be thanking those people who picked up guns. Because you people have bad faith, you people are evil.
I think the picking of guns have caused a lot of harbor, people losing their lives.
Imagine this time.
Yes, let him finish. When he finish speaking, you take the floor. Yes, we are listening to you, Chief.
I have to say it. 1996, how many years? You wait, people pick up guns, and when the SDA was blocking sessions at the National Assembly, marching there, the national chairman made efforts, wrote letters, came to the presidency, talked to you people. You people said, since he's a man of peace, you make nonsense of people who like this. You have the monopoly of violence. You push people to where they are. And because there were solutions that you were supposed to give these people, and why did you keep them behind? You kept them behind for your selfish interest. We are talking about the Babaju Road and probably other projects like the Ring Road. Madam, some of these projects have been the object of campaigns since in the 90s.
Some caterpillars were burnt. Some caterpillars for the construction of that stretch of roads were burned down.
Yeah, we are saying that they knew very well that the atmosphere was not right for them to be.
So the solution was to burn down the caterpillars.
So the solution is that if you want to plant, prepare the farm. When you prepare the farm, you go and plant. You don't go and plant when you have not prepared the farm. And when the Prime Minister went up to Bamenda the first time he went up to Bamenda, the national chairman of the SDF was being mocked at because he made an offer which was even a very risky one. The national chairman said that if you people are serious, I am ready to take the risk, even to go into bushes and get these children who are picking up arms for you to talk with them. What benefit of that offer? Nothing. You didn't give anything to the national chairman to give these children. Everything that you conceived was false. And I also want to state that any government that rules by terror creates terrorists. That is where terrorism comes from. Any government that rules by terror creates terrorists.
Are you indirectly saying that those who are taking up arms are terrorists?
No. If the government calls them terrorists, so I'm saying that the government's method of rule is terror, and they have created terrorists. They are the ones that have created the terrorists they are calling. They define it better than any other person. They have been ruled by terror. They have no project for this country. And it's needless demonstrating to them how a federal system of government functions. They have all the, the intellectuals and all that. I want to submit to those that are listening to us that this government knows the right thing to do. What is lacking is the political will. They know the right thing to do. There is no professor in the university that will come and tell you that federalism is the same as decentralization. And just to summarize it to you, federalism replaces a failed confederation. And federalism is the deepest form of decentralization. Federalism is a bottom-top approach. All those professors know that. They know what they need to do. But they don't want to do it. Probably because they do not want the power to lead the center. They do not want the prerogatives that will permit them to embezzle and do whatever they want to lead them. That is the core of the matter. The real problem is that 1% of Cameroonians want to keep 99% of Cameroonians hostage. That is the core of the matter. Because the truth is that if they liberate the Northwest and Southwest, it will send a strong signal.
Liberate in what way, Chidi?
Liberating by allowing them to manage their activities, by making sure that power is effectively with the people. They will see development like you see in Singapore. And people will be like,
those things are
so this time around, please, what we were talking about.
Let him finish talking.
Are they even ready to implement the so-called special status? That's so-called special status. Are they ready to implement it?
People have been in power.
I'm just making the noise. Which special status?
People have been in power for 40 years. You should have sitting here giving us your balance sheet, talking about how you have been. The balance sheet that you have brought for Cameroon is crisis. That's all. The balance sheet that you have brought for Cameroon is crisis.
Let him finish. Let him finish talking, please.
Let us talk about what we need to do. So, at this point in time, like I said, if we need to have peace, we need to address the frustrations. That is just a simple solution. Address the frustrations, very fundamental ones, which you know them very well. Go back to the root cause of this issue and address it. People need to dialogue, and in that dialogue, they need to give privilege to the so-called Anglophones. Give a proper content to what they want.
Okay.
And you people should, the government should be able to grant it. And the next thing is that the Yaoundé system, as it is being fashioned now, does not inspire the confidence of the people. That is one of the things that is making it difficult to solve this problem. Because the people are like, I don't know what is really going to come out. Measures need to be taken to make sure that we create confidence so that people can come around the dialogue table in all sincerity and find long-lasting solutions to this problem. And I'm now sending you, since you are representative of CPTN, translate the message, send the message to President Paul Biya. If I told him, not listen to me here. President Paul Biya is the beneficiary of the special grace of God. To rule for over 40 years is not given to any kind of person. And at this point in time, it's unfortunate for him to sit and see his grandchildren fighting because they don't have food to eat. You said when the child is hungry, his father will not sleep. You people have deliberately kept Cameroonians hungry for so many years, and people are getting obese every day, flying abroad for your medical treatments and all that. Cameroonians are tired, sir. Go and tell President Paul Biya that with the grace of God upon your life, think about the Cameroon you want to give to the next generation. Bring your children around the table. Talk to them. Give them a credible system that they can manage and take care of themselves. That is the way forward. And is founded on the values of truth, justice and love. And I insist love because it transcends political leanings. When we talk about love, I will not care whether you're a CPDN or Mr. President of the PAP or whatsoever, or the civil society. We'll come together on the same table, we'll talk about issues and handle our matters. And quickly just to say that people should not confuse the role of institutional actors. We are here debating, but we are not holding guns in the bushes. You must understand that in this situation, consultations do not have to exclude institutional actors. Armed groups are just also like pressure groups who have demands, and the role of institutional actors like political parties and civil society is to aggregate those demands and bring them into a harmonized kind of whole that can be that can be clearly understood. So political parties still have their role. That is why when consultations are made, the national chairman and the SDF were involved to make sure that we aggregate these demands, because we're constantly in touch with the people.
Thank you, Chidjodede. Without wasting time, we'll move over to the second theme of debate this day. We talk about the common appellation, Anglophone and Francophones. Should that be forbidden? We've been witnessing that or living the reality of this in our society. Jack Dennis, the appellation, Anglophone, Francophone, should that be forbidden? And if that is being forbidden, would that be completely eradicating the minds of Cameroonians?
Thank you very much. Maybe I just want to add to the former, I just have something to clear. Yeah, very brief, very brief. I want to let Mr. Fu understand that illegitimacy can only reign. The credibility of an illegitimacy can only be valuable in the midst of a disorder. So I think, to me, from my analysis and from my observations, there is the CPDM, they are very, very happy for this crisis to continue. Okay. Because that is the only way they can remain credible.
Okay, the appellation, now we are already on the second topic. So now, we'll come back to you, Mr. We'll come to you, we'll come to you. Young Dennis has the floor. We'll talk about
the appellation of Francophone, Anglophone. It is something that we are, even myself, I have been it is true that with the normal definition, the dictionary definition of an Anglophone, Francophone, we cannot wipe off our colonial past, because we are victims of such that colonial history where one part was under the mandate of the British, the other part was given as mandate under the French, and automatically we inherited those cultures. And it gives room for us to, since we inherited those cultures, there is that tendency that there must be that Anglophone, Francophone. But now, coming within the context of what we have to live as Cameroonian, where there is a problem, because where I will not really look into that is like using that as a factor to create division among ourselves. But now that one cannot be we cannot really wipe off that, because Cameroon is one of the victims, or I can say we are the victim of one of the few countries where those who fought for the independence, that had the vision for the country, like the Umnyobes, the NS1, and all, like, who had a vision for the country and fought that there should be a reunification before independence. Unfortunately, with the French brutal nature on which we all know in history, they were kept aside, and then the fabricated leaders came in and took over something, the leadership of Cameroon, with a prepared French policy. So that is why Aijo was there. He came. Aijo, he did nothing apart the independence of. Those are all fabricated political leaders who came in to replace the real Matthias, who really had the vision for the country. So when they came in, they are called them political opportunists. They had to dance to the tune of the colonial.
Is it possible to ban it?
That's why I said that we need to. That's why we need to rebuild this country, because if you look, Cameroon is the only country without a national language. Meaning that, imagine that those who had that vision, the first thing, you still have our school curriculum. I'm shocked that you still go to the French subsystem of education. They still do Espanol, Allemand. To do what with Allemand? Espanol, they are learning Chinois. I thought one day we hear of they will put a national language like they need to teach Ewondo, they need to teach Douala, and create a national language like So that's one of the factors that is really giving us that aspect of. If you find a Cameroonian now out of Cameroon, let me in Europe, there is no way you can discuss. Either you speak in English or I speak in French. There is no way you can communicate. But you see the Congolese, they speak in Lingala, the other people speak Kenyan, speak in Swahili. That language itself is a sense of nationality where you don't have Francophones and Anglophones. So we are a victim of puppets, French puppets, who came in to continue the colonial mentality where we still have that divide and rule, and that's why we are victim. We are victim of that situation today. Like Mr. Biya is a real replica of such that French puppet where he came, he continued with that colonial system. What is still called ENAM. Those are schools that were created where the French were training their own administrators with the French method. That's why when people live ENAM, like the SGOs and all, like, they see themselves like citoyens, while others are called sujets. They see themselves like super citizens. So with that concept, you see there is still that colonial mentality where some people still feel, if you look at even the traditional rulers within the French area, some of them still dress like police officers with funny type. You don't see them with that traditional regalia. So that colonial mentality needs to first of all be wiped off. That's why Cameroon needs to be rebuilt if we want to really fight against aspect of Francophone and Anglophone, because our leaders themselves who took over the leadership of the country after independence did nothing to wipe off that colonial heritage. And that's why today we find this Anglophone crisis, that you are Francophone and you are an Anglophone, because of still that aspect of colonial heritage.
Thank you very much.
I think with the new dynamics that we are trying to build,
Godfrey, the appellation Anglophones, Francophones, do you think that can be banned? Because people feel they don't really feel comfortable when you address somebody this Anglophone and that Francophone. Do you think there is a way out?
I think if you go to the dictionary, you check there, they say Anglophone, Francophone, the definition is simple. The person that speaks English or French. Now, we are in a bilingual country, constitutionally guaranteed. If we have to say we have to ban Anglophone, Francophone, I think that's not even where the debate is. And when
the problem is the manner in which the address, they say this Anglophone, this Francophone. I think that's where there's a problem.
I'm coming. When I hear the way the president is saying, I'm just asking, you know, language is like a tool. As much as you learn many languages, that's how you are open to the world. And I don't think there is no barrier knowing so many languages, even including if they are not teaching the Cameroon languages in schools. There is no barrier for somebody to go and learn them. So when now the problem is the context and the way somebody is trying to address
the other person.
But I said that problem and the fight of the issue of Anglophone and Francophone is an individual fight, because I myself that I'm speaking here, I just believe you people are just permitting me because you want that I should be. But my language is in English is so poor. I myself, I know.
No, don't say that.
No, I'm saying that. No, I'm saying that you come to the fact. Because that appellation Francophone and Anglophone, I don't know where somebody can stand here if you people can accept that I'm speaking good English. It simply means I don't know who can stand in front of me and tell me I'm Francophone or Anglophone. I will just ask you your dialect and I will teach you the French in that dialect. I think even the professor, they know me. From the nursery school to the PhD, and I'm doing research now at Advanced School of Mass and Communication. Everything research and everything done in French, and in France I did all my studies in. I've never been in an Anglophone school.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
If you have to call somebody, and when you say, and most of the time, that's where I say the context and the person whom they address that will be angry, because you see somebody telling you Anglophone, but you cannot even speak. That the only thing that you know is you know that you are an Anglophone, but you cannot even say what is French.
Thank you very much, Godfrey. We move over to Sisiko Young. As a civil society activist, the appellation Anglophone, Francophones, do you think that can completely be banned in the country?
Well, it is possible if we decide to make Cameroon Cameroonians, when we decide to want to unite Cameroonians with the concept of living together and eating together, that is very possible. Because I must tell you that about 15, 20 years ago, these two words were not very strong. They were not politically useful. They were used in the common man milieu, and it was taken for a joke. Madam Nigerians have different national languages, but the main one that is generalized is English. The Nigerians are not called Anglophones because they speak English. Ghana, Kenya, and some other English-speaking countries in Africa, they have different national languages, but English is a generalized one spoken by the majority. They don't call themselves Anglophones. If you come to the French-speaking countries, where you have Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire, Chad, and so on, they may have other languages which we hear them on TV and so on, but they don't call themselves Francophones. So it is a terminology that is that was colonial and is still neo-colonial, and which the leaders and the politicians are using it to turn Cameroon upside down. I will take you, for example, a bilingual country, which is, to be more concrete, like Canada. They have people that will speak English, and we call it the English Canada. They don't call themselves Francophones. They have Canadians who are French, the Quebec areas and the rest, they don't call themselves Francophones. So the issue first is that the people who took Cameroon to independence are not those who had any vision for Cameroon. They are not those who had any conception of Cameroon. They were forced there. I can tell you that any fear or favor that if the Umnubes came to power and the Mumies, present Cameroon would not have been what it is. That is why, when the time for independence came, while the Umnubes and the UPCs were fighting for a reunited Cameroon before independence, these other persons that who are East Cameroonians hurriedly went and took the independence, abandoning their brothers and sisters who were governed under Nigeria and have become autonomous, but not a sovereign state. They have become a state with a prime minister, a government, and a territory. But it was not a state, because a sovereign state is a state and it's a sovereign state.
Yeah, due to time,
yes. Now,
do you think it can be banned?
It cannot be banned, but it can be made less important. It can be made less prominent. That is why when you hear me talk here, you have heard I've not mentioned it about Anglophoneness. I'm a Southern Cameroonian, and I've said it time and again before being a Cameroonian. I'm a Southern Cameroonian. I don't care how they look at it. I've never used the word Anglophone crisis. I used to use it at the beginning, and as time went on, I noticed that we're using wrong appellation to justify a wrong process. And that is why, like what Mr. Godfrey said, if somebody says you are not speaking English, that is the person's cup of tea. You are communicating and people are getting what you are saying. We are not here to justify who speak good English or who speak bad English. We want to pass a message. We want Cameroon to be better. We want people to notice that we can live as one Cameroon. So it doesn't matter, because if you look at it today, if you come to the schools that I teach or the school that I govern, you will notice that we have about 60% who are of French background. Okay? Though they are learning English, they don't have a certain aspect of the historical element of who Southern Cameroonians are. That is why we keep debating that those in the northern and southern are not Anglophones. They simply have some cultures that were inherited from the British colonial rule. And that is what they want to put in place. But to put English at the forefront is missing it all. Because President Poda speaks English. We help him speak English in Boya, and he talks to diplomats. So that one is political manipulations, and it is possible for that to be moderated, but it cannot be erased.
Okay, Dieudonné, the appellation Anglophone, Francophone, at a certain time we think like it's being used in a very wrong context. Do you think that can be eradicated in about just 2 minutes, please?
Well, I think that our God is a God of diversity, and when you talk about Anglophone, Francophone, you made reference to the French and English language. They are all languages that were given by the same one God. And all the different ethnic languages were given by the same one God. And the intention of God was never to use these languages for us to fight ourselves. Now, when these languages become a kind of argument of superiority or of inferiority complex, it becomes a problem. Even ethnic languages, I'm not so attached to my ethnic language. Because whether you come from my village or not, you did not choose to come from the village you come from. I did not choose to come from where I come from. I also recognize that just as God created your village, He also created my own. As God created your ancestors, He created my own. So we are one, united in diversity. The real issue now will not be to wipe it, because for those that are Christians, even in the Bible, Satan and God are repeatedly called. But the problem now is, what relevance do you give to them? And giving relevance to them means that as a people, the thing we need to do now is to restore the dignity of our nation, to restore the dignity of the person, by making sure that we build our nation on values, and I have repeatedly called those values truth, justice, and love. Those values transcend all leanings, whether they are ethnic or they are linguistic or they are whatsoever. People will gradually do not care about them. We will only speak the languages and enjoy, and very vividly to say that the SDF sees diversity as strength, just as the Most High God sees it. For the soil that we have produces different types of crops to make sure that we enjoy the greatness of our God by enjoying things of different tastes. So too, people can speak different languages, have different ways of living, so that we enjoy the diversity of our God. So the way forward is not going to say we ban this or we ban that, but that we make sure that we build on values that will make sure that people do not go and take refuge or feel more important or less important because of the language they speak or because of where they come from.
Thank you very much, Chi Dieudonné. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with that we draw the curtains of a Republican debate on Camdis television. Today we were discussing on the Prime Minister's visit to the Northwest region. The question was, do we expect, can we say that the future is going to be brighter after his visit? Then we also spoke on the appellation Anglophones, Francophones. Can that really be banned? On this platform, we had the PAP president, Jean Denis. We had Fu Godfred from the CPDM party. We had Siseko Eyong, a civil society activist, and Chi Dieudonné from the SDF party. Thanks very much for honoring our invitation. Ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful evening in the company of our programs. Bye.